And this goes red. Okay, yeah. All right, cool. We're here. Sorry guys, we're a bit late. Still having an issue with this technology, but we will get there eventually. So couldn't get this plugin to work again today, but I'm still going to try and make this. Oh, maybe we do. Here we are. Ah, here we are. Great, amazing. Thank you guys. Thanks for being patient. I'm excited to be back here. Look, in a new beautiful room, different one this week. So I'm super excited to be back and to talk about what I love the most, which is home. I'm just checking in that it's working and that everyone can hear me and that the picture is all right and the sound is okay. Let's have a look. Checking. Hi. Cool. Yeah, I think we're here. That's great. Perfect. Thanks, guys. So before we start and kick off today to talk about the third pillar of homemaking, I just want to share something. It's so uncanny how things pop into your world when it's most needed. There was a great article today in the Guardian, very on topic. It's Josephine Tovey, and she wrote about how she was staying in a friend's house because of the lockdown, and her friend had to move out, and she took all her homely things with her, and all of a sudden she realized what it is and how important it is, the items that we surround ourselves and how it makes us feel. So I really, if you get a chance, read the article. It's really good. And I love her little quote that she's noted in her ads all of a sudden are targeted very differently. All of a sudden there are tables and things popping up instead of dating apps. So yeah, check that out if you get a chance. And then I also just want to do a quick recap on what we have been discussing in the previous two sessions, which has been the first one was about finding, so I introduced the model that I've developed based on what I've learned, what I call the 4 pillars of homemaking. And the first pillar is what it is that makes a homemaker great. And that's to define or refine your aesthetic. And the start of this is by paying attention to how you feel in a space, noticing and thinking about why certain spaces make you feel a certain way, and then becoming clear on what you want your own space to feel as you create it. So the way I think of it is like taking sort of an internal snapshot in your brain, and remembering something is like taking a snapshot of the past, and to create something is to do the reverse and take a snapshot of the future by envisaging how you want to feel and how it might look. And that's the start to becoming clear on your style. And as I said in the last session, style is not really something we are born with, but rather something that is developed through desire and intent, and it evolves with time. And then the second pillar is knowing what to do with all the stuff you have, and I introduced you to the triage method, which is the method that I've developed to assess your items that you have in your home. And if you miss these sessions, they're available on our Facebook page and I think possibly on YouTube as well, I'm not sure. Okay, so let's move on to talk about pillar 3. And that is to have the confidence to make choices in bringing new things into your home. And this can be anything from a toaster to making a full renovations. So we did this little poll earlier in the week on Instagram, and we got a lot of answers, and it seems to be that there are 2 main issues that most of us struggle with. And the first one is, how do I know what's going to work in my home? How do I not make mistakes, basically, when I bring things in? And the other thing is, where do I find what's right for me? Basically, where do I look? Where do I go? How do I find things that are unique and not too mainstream? In other words, what most people are struggling with, how to know it's going to work, and where to look for things. So I'm going to aim to answer all those questions today. But before I go into that, we're going to do a little exercise. So grab a pen if you want and write this down, or just kind of do it in your mind. But I want you to do a little quick assessment, a little bit like we did in the our first session. Think of something that you've bought in the past and go back to when you first started buying things for your home. And what I want you to identify is the pieces that you have that you're really happy that you bought. Pieces that you spent money on that still gives you tremendous value. Things that you still feel positive about. It can be anything, a piece of art, a chair, a teacup. And also try to recall how you felt when you first brought it into your space. So when you placed it, hung it, or you first used it. So I'm going to share a few of my experience to help you kind of thinking along. So the first one I want to share is this sofa that I bought for quite a long time in Stockholm, at Room in Stockholm. It's actually the sofa, if you were here in the first session, it's a sofa that my friend had that I used to go and have tea and eat all these yummy goods. She had the same sofa. It was so comfy. So I ended up buying the same one. It was blue when I bought it. I have since actually tried to bleach it. It was pretty disastrous. And then I recovered it with a slip white cover, and now it's in a light grey velvet. It's probably, 25, 30 years old. Now it's more like in that grey. That's not my house. That's a apartment in Sweden that's for sale at the moment, if anyone is interested. But it's the same sofa, I believe, from Sjögrens in Tranås. So it's a good one. I think I'll have it for the rest of my life. And the second piece I want to share with you is the painting that I have here in the office. It's by Sequon Tran, and I love his work. It's from Michel Perry. I've been sort of admiring his work for a long time. It's an investment, and when I finally when we moved into this new studio, I decided this would be the perfect sort of place for one of his pieces. And every day I was excited when I finally decided. And when Michel came to hang it, it was such a joyous day, and every day I look at it, it makes me feel happy. And another thing that I want to share with you are these little bookends that I bought the last day when I worked at Svensk 10 in Stockholm, and I brought them with me over to Australia. And I have moved them and used them in so many different places in my house all over the years. They still gives me a lot of joy. Just looking at them here on the picture makes me feel happy. I love them. They're made out of really heavy cast iron. Here's a picture, I think, from a photo shoot I did in my house probably, 15, 12 years ago or something. So they're still really special to me. So all these three items are still really valuable. So I think they've been a great investment, and I've utilized them, and they continue to bring me a lot of happiness and value. And the common theme for them is I kind of remember that I felt a little bit stretched. They've all been on my wish list for a while, and there was something that I had anticipated buying for a while, and I'd saved up for them. And when they arrived into my home, I felt a direct sense of joy, almost like welcoming a family member. So I invite you to identify some, or even just one piece that at the time of buying it brought you happiness, and it still gives you value, because this is kind of like a clue when it comes to bringing new things into your home. It can be a piece of art as mine, or a chair. It can be a vase, a teacup, anything. Something that you still enjoy using and seeing in your home. And now I want you to do the opposite and think of something that you bought that you feel you could easily live without, but you still have them because they kind of fill a need, but you could, if you could, you happily replace them and get the money back, for when you bought it. So I have this grey ottoman that I bought at a sort of a designer warehouse sale, and well, it's well made. It was relatively expensive, and I thought I would get good use of it, but I don't love it. If I could get the money back and not have it, I actually would. I can think of many other examples, and there's a common theme around it, that they were either a bit of an impulse buy, or that I felt I just needed a quick fix, or they were cheap. So the purpose of this exercise is so that next time when you buy something, take a moment and notice how you feel, and try and remember how you felt when you bought those things that really brought you joy and that you're going to love for a long time. So that's kind of the starting point of knowing what to bring into your home. So it's about, recognizing those emotions and the feelings and the thought processes has gone into it before you buy something. Okay, so let's continue and address the queries that you had. So the first one is, how do I know it's going to work in my room? And there are different sub-questions to this. For example, is it going to fit? I'm not sure it's the right color. I'm sick of it already. How do I know it's going to last? And I think the first question is pretty easy to answer, because a designer's golden rule is, if it works on the plan, it's going to work in real life. So always measure the room, measure the piece, and if you don't know how to draw up, measure, just tape it out on the floor or mock it up with something else to see how it works in your space. The tape measure is kind of our best friend. And also, one thing that I've learned the hard way, if you live in an apartment, make sure you measure the lift so that it fits in, so you don't have to hose it in. And how do I know? So the next thing is, how do I find what's right for me? Will it last? Will it work with the other things in the room? Well, when we work with clients, we spend a lot of time getting to know them and analyzing the site and the architecture and the lifestyle, their personalities. And I think a mistake that most people do when buying for their home is you don't really take the time to actually document the style. Yes, you might have, the Pinterest board and the Instagram feed and the magazine lying around, but there's nothing more valuable than to assemble images of everything together. So when you're considering something new, place a photo of it on your board and look at how it sits with the other stuff. That's how most designers work. So start creating a mood board. It's a very small image here. I don't know if you can see it, but put it all together. It can either be like a virtually, there are many tools you can use for that. I won't go into that. Or just a normal old-fashioned pin board that you cut out from a magazine and put it all together. So this kind of gives an overview of everything. It starts to, you can see it as a whole. And so when you're unsure of something, if it's going to work, as in if the color is going to fit, or if the color is going to work, or the shape or everything, put it together and you can kind of get an overview of it. And you can always refer back to that as well every time you go and buy something. How will it sit with the rest of what I have? So that's kind of whether you know if it's going to work. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next category, and that's kind of, where do I find the right stuff for me? So where do I find things that you're wondering, what's this picture doing here? It kind of came a bit early, but I'll get back to that one. So how do I find things that are not too mainstream, at the right price point, things that are in stock so that I don't have to wait? And where can I find pieces that are sort of off trend because everything seems to look the same? Well, you can probably guess what I'm going to answer to all of these, because if you have taken the time to get clear on your aesthetics and how you want to feel when you buy something, you will, I promise you, as by magic, start to see things with new eyes. You can walk down the street and you can see something on the curbside, or you can, just like my designer friend Brett found a beautiful new sofa on the curbside the other day. Or you can be at the hardware store and find the perfect table base. Nothing becomes mainstream. You start to see past trends and discover things nobody else sees, just for you. You can go to garage sales, vintage stores, and main street stores. They're all filled with treasures. And another thing, high-end retailers often have different ranges in different price points. So it's always, don't be afraid to ask. You just say, this is what I'm looking for, this is my budget. And so it's kind of just a matter of exploring. So the reason why this picture is here is this is a tray that I found in a garage sale. It was $1. I use it every day. I put my candles on it. I have it. I've used it many, many times. And I think there's another, is there another image? Yeah, this is a toaster that I bought in an antique store for $50, and we used it in a photo shoot recently. So it's not really about where to find things. It's more about seeing things in a new way. Do we have that? Yeah. Okay. So before you, so to kind of, and then I want to talk about lead time. So when it comes to lead times, in relation to lead time, the way that I think about it is, it's a bit like a gestation period for a baby. You know, you don't expect the baby to come straight away. It's, you know, you plan for it, you paint the room, you knit the clothes, you do whatever. And then when it comes, it's like, it's a joy to behold. So I feel that's kind of how I see lead times. I'm looking forward to something special. It's not going to be made instantly. It might be custom made. I've chosen the fabrics for it. It's, the waiting is part of the joy. And the waiting is also, you know, the fact that it's going to be custom made often for me, or that it's, you know, it's even more special than just bringing it straight home and having that instant fix. So to summarize all these kind of questions around knowing what to buy, there's this another little model or a little kind of process that I've developed, what I call the 3 F's before you buy. And those are, the first F is to feel, pay attention to how you feel when you are about to buy something. And the second one is the future. I think we have another kind of slide. Let's go. Oh no, let's do the next one. So to feel, to pay attention how you feel when you're about to buy something. Remember how you felt about the pieces you wrote down that you still love and value. And the second one is refer to the future. Do you think that you want to spend this money again in 3 years' time for this item? Or would you prefer the money in the bank? Do I think I will be as excited a year from now as I am right now? You know, so think about those. So think about the future. And then the third one is to fit. Make sure you've checked, you know, the tape measure, you've checked the plan, the board, the color, referred back to the mood board and checked on the plan. So those are the 3 F's to keep in mind before you go out and bring something new in. Remember how you felt when you bought something good. Think about the future and does it fit? So here's a little quote, which also is around finding the thing. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. So when you become clear on your aesthetics, when you become clear of what it is and how you feel, then you actually will start to see things completely differently, and you'll find things that suits you and that is unique for you. So there you have it. You are now on a good way to become a really great homemaker. So we've covered the first 3 pillars, and the first one is to become clear on your aesthetics. The second one is learning what to do with what you already have, the little triage method, and deciding what to keep or not. And today we've talked about the confidence to make choices when you're bringing new things into your home. So there's a summary of what I've talked about today. You can just click on below this video. And next week we will talk about the last pillar, which is around having habits that nurture your home. How do you now look after it? So if the first 3 were more around, you know, I love to use this kind of, you know, health and hospital analogy. So if the first one always is about diagnosis and prescription, the third one is really about maintaining health, so that, you know, whatever you do is nurturing and looking after what you already have. So I am looking forward to seeing you next week, same time, next Thursday, to wrap up this little mini-series of the 4 Pillars of Homemaking. So I hope you tune in then. I'm so grateful that you came today. Thank you so much for coming. And I will see you soon. Thanks. Bye, beautiful.